In this video, I'm gonna share 5 amazing chess traps in the Alien Gambit that you can use to trick your opponents and win easily. So let's get started. After e4 c6 d4 d5, here you play knight to d2, and after he goes d takes e4, then you just recapture, he goes knight f6, then here you just play knight to g5, he goes h6, and now you sacrifice your knight by playing knight takes f7, and after king takes, here you just develop the knight, he goes knight b7, preventing knight to e5 jump, but then you play bishop to c4 check, then after king e8, now you just castle here, and after knight to b6 hitting this bishop, because there are very much weaknesses on the light squares. Then you just go bishop d3 saving your bishop, and after he goes bishop g4 preventing knight e5 jump, but you shock him with knight e5 giving up your queen. And the main idea behind this move is that after he takes the queen, because he can't do much, you just play bishop to g6 and it's a checkmate. Let's move on to the next trap. So after e4 c6 d4 d5, here you go knight d2, and after he takes you recapture, he goes knight f6, then you go knight g5, and after he goes h6 attacking the knight, you just shock him with knight takes f7, again sacrificing the knight. He takes, then you go knight f3, and after bishop f5, here you just play knight e5 check, he goes king to g8, then you just play bishop c4 check, and after he goes e6, then you just play g4 attacking the bishop, and after he moves the bishop, say bishop to e4 attacking the rook, then you just play bishop takes e6, and after king h7, now you play g5. First of all, if he takes your rook, then you just play g6 checkmate, and if he goes h takes g5, then you have knight f7 working the queen and the rook and also threatening to take this pawn. So for example, he goes queen a5 check, then you can just block with the bishop, and after something like say queen b6, you can just take this pawn with the knight and continue to attack him until it's checkmated. But what if here he plays queen to e7, hitting this bishop? Then you have bishop to b3, saving the bishop, and after h takes g5, you have bishop takes g5. And now capturing this rook seems like a natural response, but then you have queen to d3 check, and after bishop to e4, you can just play queen to f3 check, knight h5, and then it's a checkmate, and all these squares is covered by the bishop. Let's move on to the next trap. So after e4 c6, knight to c3, he goes to e5, then you just play knight to f3, and after he takes, you recapture, he goes knight f6, then you go knight to g5, and after he goes h6, attacking the knight, you just sacrifice your knight with knight takes f7, he takes, then you just go knight e5 check, and after he goes king to e8, you just play bishop to d3, and here bishop e6 seems like a natural response, then you just shock him with bishop g6 check. And on the next move, bishop takes f7 is a checkmate in 10 moves. Let's move on to the next trap. After e4 c6 d4 d5, here you go knight to d2, and after he takes you recapture, he goes knight f6, then you go knight g5, and after h6 you can just take this pawn with the knight. He takes, then you just go knight f3, and after knight to d7, you just play bishop to d3, and after he goes e6, blocking off this diagonal, then you just castle here, and after he goes bishop d6, now you can play rook to e1. Rook e8 seems like a natural response, bringing his rook around the center and ready to move his king there. But then you play knight to e5 check, and after he goes bishop takes e5, you can just take that knight with the pawn. He goes knight d5, then queen h5 check, and after he goes back, you shock him with bishop takes h6. If he goes g takes h6, then it's check, and after he moves the king, you can give him a check again, king g8, then there's bishop h7 check, and after king to h8, you go bishop g6 check, he moves the king, queen h7 check, and then queen to f7 is a checkmate. Therefore here, knight f8 seems like a stronger move, then you again have bishop takes g7, sacrificing the bishop again. And now here, he got a take because he can't do much, then you have rook to e4, bringing your rook in this attack. So let's say he goes knight g6, but then you have rook to g4 putting pressure on this knight, and after he goes knight to f4, you can just take this knight with the rook, and after he takes, you can take with the queen, and then queen h7 is checkmate. Let's move on to the next trap. So after e4 c6, d4 d5, knight d2, he takes, you recapture, knight f6, then knight g5, and after he goes h6, you can just take this pawn with the knight, and after king takes, you go knight f3, he goes e6, then you go knight e5 check, and after king g8, now bishop d3, developing your bishop. He goes bishop d6, attacking this knight, and then you play f4. He grabs this knight, then you just recapture, and after he goes knight d5, he just castle here, bringing your rook on this f file. He goes knight d7, developing the knight. Then you just play bishop g6, and after knight to f8, hitting this bishop. Now you can play bishop f7 check, and after he goes king to h7, you have queen to d3 check, g6. Then you can just take this pawn with the bishop, sacrificing the bishop, and after he takes, you just go rook f7 check, king g8, and then you can just take this knight, and it's a checkmate. Well, if you enjoyed these chess traps, then don't forget to give this video a like, and here are some more amazing chess traps like these. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss more of these videos.